This video is sponsored by Skillshare.
Those of you who've known me for a while know that while my first love is pottery, my second love is textiles. In fact, my entire secret Pinterest board is basically all crochet and quilting projects. And I've been thinking for a long time how to merge these two passions. I think I've come up with something. What about a tile quilt? I rolled out as many slabs as I have boards. I'm using all the boards I own in the studio. I used almost an entire bag of clay. I want these to dry out overnight so that tomorrow they're leather hard. That means there will be a little bit more stiff and less likely to warp when I'm handling them. So I'll see you then. Good morning. So before I turned on the camera today, I was playing around with swatches, and this is the color combination I think I want to go for. I think it looks so good. And so the white is going to act more as like there's going to be a lot more white. So the white's going to take up a big part of it as like a break for the eye. But then there's going to be all of these crazy semi-primary colors. I'm obsessed. The one thing I can't decide on is the black, because I want to have some black in there. For some reason, I'm really drawn to the matte black. But it's the only matte glaze in this group. Like, it would make so much more sense logically to use the glossy black. I don't know if the matte black would make like this really cool contrast, just like a little something to mix it up, you know? Or if it would just look off, and I just like really can't decide. So I'm gonna be puzzling over that over the next like week or so, I guess, while these get fired. But you can let me know down in the comments what you think I should do, and 50-50 shot that I'll have done it. Yeah, I'm excited. Okay, we shall see how wet these are still. I think this is perfect. Maybe a little on the dry side, but you can see like how floppy it is now. By the way, I'm going to try and avoid doing this as much as possible, because the more you bend the clay now, like clay has memory, so it's going to want to go back to how it was when it was being manipulated. I'm gonna have to bend them a little bit just to, you know, move them around. I'm going to cut the tiles 7 by 7 centimeters. And if I was clever, I would have bought a tile cutter by now, but I did not do that. But I do have this nice big long ruler now, which is an improvement. Three times 7 is 21. Okay, I got a few more than 15 this time. By the way, I realized I forgot to tell you what kind of quilt I'm making. I'm going to make a 9 square quilt. There's so many cool directions you could go in with this project, you know, different complicated shapes. And I would love to try that at some point, but I think for this first attempt, I think I'm just gonna go a slightly easy route and just make square tiles, and simply like the pattern in which I arrange the tiles, that's going to be the quilt reference. I still think it's gonna look really cool. At least it looks really cool in my brain. This is the quilt that I'm using for inspiration. It's gorgeous, gorgeous quilt. I found it on Pinterest. I'll try and link the artist. Amazing. And then my other question is, should I put some sort of border around it? And if so, should they be full squares? I think yes to the border. If I do that, should they be full squares or half squares? I'm not sure. But since we have to make more tiles, I don't necessarily have to decide right now. The most insane storm has blown in, so I've had to turn on my artificial light. I hope it doesn't look terrible. I need to count how many of these I have. I think for now, I'm just going to wrap them up and get to doing the edges tomorrow because today I want to roll out more clay. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Maybe if I make them, I'll make them in stacks of 5 and then I can count them easier. 110, 113. 113. Actually, that's not so bad. I was thinking I wanted something around 200. So yeah, I'm going to roll out more clay now. I'm not going to film it. I'm going to spare you. I'm going to do that today, and then tomorrow we'll cut those and we'll do all of the edges then. And yeah, I think that's going to be good. By the way, this is more or less, if I scoot these over, this is more or less our 9-patch quilt here. Besides this. So that's going to be fun. As you know, I'm obsessed with teaching myself all different kinds of craft projects. And one resource that I found particularly helpful is Skillshare, who is kindly sponsoring this video. Skillshare is the largest online community for creatives, with classes taught by industry professionals in photography, illustration, design, freelancing, productivity, and more. Whether you're looking to turn a hobby into a hustle or elevate your side gig into a full-time job, Skillshare has the tools to help you achieve your goals. I've been taking this incredible 4-part quilting series by Julie Ray, where she demystifies making complex shapes like triangles, circles, and stars. The way I see it, creativity is kind of like a muscle. The more I learn about diverse crafting techniques, the more I grow as an artist overall. So if you want to exercise your creative muscle and start a new hobby today, check out my link in the video description. The first 500 people to use my link will receive 1 month free trial of Skillshare. Get started today. Good morning. It's a beautiful day. The sun is shining after yesterday's storm and I'm really caffeinated. So let's get through this and we see if we have enough clay. I freaking hope so. These are a little bit more floppy than yesterday, which is good. They were honestly too hard yesterday. I had to recently give up caffeine for a few weeks. And when you haven't had caffeine for a while and then you actually drink some, like just a cup of coffee, it hits you like a friggin' lightning bolt. And like, honestly, it's really nice because like just having caffeine every day, you don't get to experience the effects of it at all. My body was so used to it that I didn't do anything, basically. I highly recommend quitting caffeine from time to time. Finished cutting them all and I just did the math and I can make my quilt 5 cross by 4 tall. So what I mean by that is 4 and 5 of these 9-patch squares. I made 193 tiles total of the normal squares, and then I also started cutting these guys. These are a little bit bigger than half. They're 4 centimeters wide by 7 centimeters tall. And my plan is to line the outside of the entire quilt with these shorter pieces. I just think it might be a nice border. I'll do it in like a color. I don't know what color, but I'll do it in a color. And yeah, it should be pretty big. That means it's going to be a little bit over 1 meter wide and then 84 centimeters tall. So it's going to be, well, no, like something like this, I think, which is probably as big as I want to make it because this thing is going to be heavy. I don't want to make it too heavy that I can't hang out on the wall. That does mean, however, I do need to roll out more slabs because I do only have a handful of these shorties, and I can pretty easily calculate how many of these I need. And yeah, and I'll roll those out, cut those out, and have those ready. But we're not going to do that right now. Right now, what I want to do is finish the edges. And I have done Exhibit A. I have done in the past beveled the edges. I think I will never ever do that again. This beveling all those edges took so long. This was my first tile project ever, and I don't know why I thought I needed to bevel the edges, but what I do now in the, I don't know, maybe this is like my 5th tile project or something. What I do is I just take a little sponge with some water and I just wipe around the edges and I call it a day. You gotta have a little look at the corners and then that's it. done. Because we have 193 of these to get through, plus the half tiles. So this is enough, you know? Each one takes about 20 seconds. That's still gonna be hours of wiping these. So making things with tiles is not for the weak in my mind, but as a crocheter, I really don't mind tedious work. So what I'm probably gonna do is put on a podcast and just meditate, you know? I'm done. I don't think I'm missing any boards. So it's been like, I don't know, 2-3 hours of just wiping the edges. It takes a while, but honestly, like this is the kind of work that I truly don't mind. So these are all cut and wiped. Below here, I have 2 more slabs that I rolled out, and then tomorrow I can come in and cut them for the shorter version of the tiles for the border. And then I'm just going to let them dry out. So these ones that are finished, I'm going to dry them out under some weight. I want to make sure that they dry as flat as possible. So I'm going to, you know, put something heavy on here. Something like this. Yeah, and then I can just pop them into the kiln when they're completely dry. Now we just have to wait about a week, maybe 2, for them to dry out because they're so densely packed in here. It's gonna take a little bit longer. So I'll see you then. So as a reminder, this is our quilt inspo, and this is our color palette. So the main thing that I need to keep in mind here is that half of these tiles need to be white, or at least half of the square tiles. And the other half, I'm going to just evenly split between all of these different colors. And then like later on, we'll figure out how they're all arranged. But I think that that makes sense, I hope. This is going to take, I would say 3 kilns probably. I'm guessing around 3 kilns to get through all of this because obviously during a glaze kiln, they can't be stacked like they are the bisque kiln. We need to spread them out. And this is actually a lot of surface area. So we'll see how many kilns it takes. Some of these are dipping glazes. Some of them are paint on glazes. It's kind of a lot. I'm a little intimidated. I think this is going to take a few hours, honestly, to get through, but we just have to start. So let's do it. Okay, so I'm about halfway through firing these. I've got a kiln full that's cooling right now, and all that's left for me to actually glaze are these edge pieces. So today I need to figure out what the heck I'm going to color these edge pieces, like to frame the whole piece. By the way, they're looking so freaking good. Like, these look honestly like professionally made tiles, in my humble opinion. Like, I could not believe how perfect and smooth the glaze ended up being. I think I got really lucky. And the colors are quite vibrant. I was a little shocked when I first opened the kiln. We've got an orangey red, this incredible seafoam, dark green, black, this yellow that I'm obsessed with. And then also, I freaking love this mottled blue color. I love how this effect turned out. I didn't expect that. The glaze doesn't usually do that. So hopefully it shows up on the other tiles as well. So gosh, I just need to play around with these a little bit and think about what color I want on the edges. So this is like the 9 square pattern. And then it's just going to be surrounded by simple white to left, right, above, below. And then like, for example, here we'll have another one. I don't have all the colors yet, so it's kind of hard to imagine, but this is sort of the look. Also, I feel like I want to do something of like a contrasting grout in between them, but I don't know what yet. Like, the colors in this is just so fun to play around with. Oh, I love these colors. So what are we gonna do with the edging? It's really hard without all of them out here because I'm trying to make it look balanced, but I don't have none of the others, basically. I could go crazy with a bright orange, or I could do green. Ah, this is really hard. I kind of thought if I laid everything out, it would become obvious what to do, but right now I have no freaking clue. Also, what color grout am I gonna use? Should we do blue border? Like, I kind of want to do a blue border just because I'm obsessed with this glaze so much. And I really love the idea of like a soft blue border on things. Part of me feels like tonally, the blue is actually a really great idea because it's like this kind of mid-tone. It's not light like the yellow is. Like tonally, these are light. And then we have our tonally dark colors. And then we have a mid-tone. Where's this mid? Something like that. I mean, I feel like this is very balanced. I mean, black is classic, but it's not very quilty. So I feel like black is out. Let's take the light tones out. Let's take the red out because the red is too intense for me. So I feel like I'm between these two. I think the green could look really cool. I mean, everyone loves green, right? But my heart is saying blue. Whenever I try something crazy, it works out like 70% of the time. So maybe I just go for it because that's what my heart wants to do, I think. Let's do the blue. Okay, I've gotten some comments saying they like to hear my thought process. This is my thought process in real time. It takes a while, but this is how I make decisions. You just kind of have to play around with it and give yourself time. So we're gonna go with the blue. Let's glaze. So freaking excited and honestly relieved at how these end pieces turned out because the square ones all have this mottled look and I just freaking loved it so much. And I wasn't sure because this one was a little bit less tightly packed. And you know, whatever goes on in the kiln, like this glaze is not super predictable. I have these mugs here that are glazed with the exact same glaze. And this is reclaimed, so it's like, it's a different clay, but it's not that different of a clay. And look how completely different these look. Like, I hope I'm not the only one seeing this, right? These are completely different colors. I'm just really glad because everything's matching and it's how it should look. So I've got, oh, Jesus, a big old chunk of wood. This is 18mm plywood and I've already installed 3 little eyelet hooks to hang it with. But I'm like really scared because this thing's already really heavy and I'm about to add a ton of tiles to it. So I hope it's gonna work. But the first thing to do is to make a grid and then I know where I can place the tiles. Okay, I've got the grid on. I don't know how well the camera is gonna pick it up, but if you remember, the tiles that I cut out were 7 centimeters by 7 centimeters, and I was hoping that I could just do 7 by 7 because the tiles will shrink, but then you also want that grout line in it, but they shrank a little more than I was expecting, and I didn't want too big of a grout line, so I figured 6.8 by 6.8 was the best distance between them, you know? But that did make making the grid a little bit more tedious than it had to be. see. The grid's not perfect either, and it doesn't have to be really. It's more for just laying everything out. And then once some of the tiles are in, I'll be able to kind of mimic the distance between them. It's just gonna help me keep on track, but I'm not going to be following it to a T. So here comes the fun part, which is actually laying out the tiles and figuring out the design. I don't know how long this is gonna take, but it might take a little while, but I'm excited for this part. I'm just gonna play around for a while. I'm feeling very uncertain right now. Gosh, so I basically ran out of tiles. So I wasn't able to use the tiles in exactly the way that I wanted to make it all visually balanced. It should be more or less balanced because it's an even number of tiles, but I don't know, I guess I'm struggling with things like this is a bunch of black and blue together. Oh gosh, this is basically the same exact tile. See, this is the problem. We need to fix that. But if I put the blue here, not only do we have a blue center, which I could switch out, but then we have this blue section going on here. Can I move something else? Wish I had more yellow. I have 0 yellow left. I even had to use this tile that's kind of wonky, which I'm not super happy about. We're just gonna let there be 2 red flowers. I think it's fine. I think it's really fine. We're gonna live with it. So I'm gonna take apart our hard work, but hopefully keep it in order. So I'm going to use this PVA glue. This is just like a craft glue. And the reason I'm using this is because number 1, it's easier to apply than mortar. Number 2, it's lighter. Like it dries lighter than a mortar would. My only concern here with using this glue is that some of the tiles are a little warped. Mortar would balance that out way more than PVA glue will, but I'm hoping it's gonna work. It has worked on slightly warped tiles in the past, so we're gonna cross our fingers. Oh, third reason why I'm using the PVA glue is because you can see the grid lines through. Depending on your plywood, you might want to seal it if it's very absorbent. I'm not doing that because this is like really high quality plywood, so it doesn't need that. It's like pretty dang waterproof, or at least waterproof enough to let the glue dry. Okay, the first chunk is done. I guess my first 3 rows, so I'm just gonna keep going all the way up in the same way. I finished the gluing, and honestly, the longer I look at this, the more excited I am about it. I'm going to let this dry out for about an hour. An hour is probably overkill, but I do want to make sure it's really, really dry before I apply the grout. I am a little bit worried because when you apply the grout, you push down, and some of these tiles are a little bit warped, and I'm worried I'm going to dislodge it as I push down to apply the grout, but so I'm just gonna wait an hour and in the meantime brainstorm what color grout I want. Okay, it's been about an hour and you can still see a little bit of whiteness in the glue in the grout lines, but I think it's pretty much mostly transparent now, so I think we can move on. So I have 2 colors of grout. I've got a white and I've got a sort of dark grayish brown. I feel like the obvious choice would be to go with white, but the thing about grout lines is that light colors actually stand out way more than dark colors. So I think I'm gonna go with the brown because that should theoretically kind of melt into the background and the tiles pop. Because that's what we want. We don't want the star of the show to be the grout. We want it to be the tiles themselves. So I'm gonna use this brown. It's called Bali Brown. We shall see. As for tools, I usually just use this guy. I think I also use this. I couldn't remember if I actually end up using this or not. I bought like this pack of tiling tools ages ago, and I really don't use almost any of them. I do use the giant sponge. That's handy as well. I almost completely ran out of grout. This is how much I have left, like a few scoops worth. So that was really lucky. But I am actually going to whip up some more grout, because what I like to do is put grout also around the sides, because the grout is like the mess of it all is staining the sides anyway. And I find that this makes it look more finished so that you don't like notice the sides. I mean, of course you could be super extra and tile the sides as well. Maybe I'll do that in a future project, but I obviously didn't make enough tiles for this today. So I'm just going to kind of apply the grout as a stain now around the edges while I wait for this to set up, and then we're gonna come back in with a sponge to wipe it back for the grand reveal. In my experience, at a certain point, you just gotta stop wiping, because the moisture in the sponge, I believe, is always going to pick up more and more grout from the lines, because it kind of squishes down into the grout and just pulls it up. And it is completely normal to have a little bit of like a haze, a grout haze on your tiles the next day. And then you just come back with like some cotton and you buff it off. So I think we'll come back tomorrow and buff it and hang it and admire it. But I gotta say, it's looking really good. I am a little nervous to try and pick it up. I'll probably have my partner come help me lift it onto the wall, because I don't think I can lift this thing by myself. I could hardly lift the wood thing by myself. So I certainly can't lift this by myself. It's kind of hard to know when to stop though. I'm so happy I chose the dark grout, honestly. Like, I feel like the dark grout makes it look less like kitchen tiles and more like a mosaic, you know? Okay, I need to stop. We've done all we can do today. Tomorrow I'm gonna come back in, buff it, finish it. Yay! I think I need to get my partner to come help me lift this and put this on the wall, but he's a little camera shy, so we're gonna do an epic transition. I've never done something like this before. Can I just go, ta-da! Look how beautiful this looks. Okay, me for scale. It's not quite my arm span, but it's pretty big. It's very impressive. It's definitely like the new focal point of the room. Oh, it was not easy hanging that, by the way, even with two people, but we managed. I can't believe this project is finished. This has taken so freaking long. This was an epic project for me. This took a really long time. And I'm so happy with how it turned out. Like, does it look like a quilt? I think it looks like a quilt. Do you think it looks like a quilt though? Because I don't know if I've just been looking at too many quilts, so now I'm seeing quilts and everything. But I love it. I love the colors. I think next time I would go for a slightly off-white. The white is throwing me a little bit. But other than that, I really love all of the colors. And I think that you don't really necessarily notice the white as much because these colors are so beautiful. The 9 patch always reminds me of a flower, and it's got like all these little colorful flowers on my wall, and I freaking love it. I'm just so inspired to make stuff with tiles now. So let me know what I should make next with tiles, because I think that I want to make more tile things. I have to make more tile things. This was so much fun, even though it was tedious. We love tedious work in this house, in this studio, we love it. And it pays off, it really pays off, you know? So thank you guys so much for watching. This was a really fun project. And you guys watching my videos makes me able to make crazy projects like this. So I really, really appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for next video. I'll see you then. Bye, friends.